So welcome back to the Floriani Software Fundamentals video series on FTCU. My name is Mark Garetz and I'm a National Floriani educator. And in this section we're going to be talking about how you work with the built-in artwork shapes, the built-in images, and built-in designs that we give you. In FTCU, we give you a variety of artwork, images, and embroidery designs in addition to the free monthly designs so that you can get started right away using the software and not have to worry about creating images, shapes, and all that. So let's go over where those are located and how you would use them. So first of all, let's talk about images. Now remember we said that images, when we load them in, are raster files, JPEG, PNGs, TIFFs, things like that. And we call those backdrops when we use them in the software because we're going to trace over the top of them. And we have a library right here called the Backdrops library. And if you click it, it's going to open up a folder called Images. And you can scroll through this folder and you can pick an image to work with. So when you click one of these, it's going to come into the design and you can work with it. Now, you can scroll anywhere on your system using all of the other controls. And what this looks like, again, is to be dependent on what your view settings are in Windows. So if you want to see large icons, you would do that. But whenever you click on something, you're going to see a little preview over here if you aren't seeing a preview over here. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. And the next thing I want to show you is our built-in artwork library. So these are vector images and they're located right here. So if I click this icon, I will see a variety of vector images. Now, one thing I want to let you know is that Windows can't preview vector images for you. So all you're going to see here is this AI icon or something similar. And when you click on one of these, however, you'll be able to preview what it looks like over here. So that's not anything that we can control at Floriani, but you'll see that a lot of the images are the same between the images folder and this artwork folder, and the names tend to be similar, if not the same, except for the extension. So that is your built-in vector shapes, and when you load these in, instead of coming in as a backdrop, they're going to come in as a vector that you can then modify and assign stitches to, and we've not looked yet at how to assign stitches to it, but we have covered how to modify vectors using the shape tool or the other vector functions. So I'm going to go ahead and cancel that because the last thing I want to show you is the built-in custom shapes library. So if I click that, you will see that you've got a variety of custom shapes in here. And these tend to be outlines. They're not always outlines. Sometimes they're filled like this, but it's still, remember, just an outline. And you can bring these in and then you can stitch them as long as you apply stitches to them, which we'll cover in our next section. But you could, for example, click this bear and the bear would come in and you can see it came in filled. If I want to unfill it, I can click apply and I can change the pen width because this is a vector. If I wanted to modify the shape, I'd see my nodes, etc. So that is the built-in custom shapes library. Now, what if you wanted to modify this bear and you wanted to make the modification appear in your custom shapes library? Or what if you loaded in a vector and you wanted it to be part of your custom shapes library? Well, you certainly could do that. The way you would do it is you would select this bear and or whatever shape you have, and you would come up here to the Tools menu and you would click Save Custom Shape, and that would add it into your custom shape library. So the next time you start your custom shape library, you would see this bear or whatever the modification was in there, or whatever pattern you put in there. But you get the idea. Now, one other thing I want to show you about your custom shapes library is if we click it, you'll notice that it comes up to default to our custom shapes, which tend to be simple outlines. But if I click this down arrow, I can also choose Easy Art, which brings up a second set of designs. And you can see here I've got some alphabet letters and I've got some other various designs. Now, the important thing to remember about these is that these are vectors and not images, so that you can bring these in and then convert them to stitches using the stitch conversion tools or stitch style conversion tools that we will talk about shortly. So though again, that is your easy art and your custom shapes. Now, I'm going to actually delete our bear here. So I'm going to select him over here and press delete. So I want to show you some of the other things that are built in. And I'm going to come here to this icon right here, which is our symbol library. So if I click that, it will bring up our first symbol, which is an airplane. And if I click the down arrow, I can choose different symbols. So I have a variety of symbols in here. So let's just pick this sun, for example. And now remember our duplicate tool, when we clicked and dragged, we put in a duplicate of that item. And this symbol function works very similarly. So if I simply click, it's going to put in that sun in the size that it was designed and saved at. If I click and drag, I can put in that sun at any orientation or any size that I want to. So this is really a useful function. And again, if I wanted to add something to my symbol library, like let's say I have a shape that I want to reuse over and over again, I could select a shape, like I've got this one selected right here now, and if I come to my tools, I could say save symbol, and it would add it automatically to my symbol library, and then the next time I invoke the symbol function, I would see that symbol in there and I could use it. So I'm going to actually get rid of all of these, and I'm going to delete them. And the last thing I want to show you in terms of built-in embroidery designs is actually this icon right here, which is our built-in buttonholes. And if I click that, same thing, I've got a cursor that if I click and drag, I'll put in a buttonhole any orientation and size I want. And if I simply click, it will put in a buttonhole of the size it was designed. Now over here in my properties, I can change what type of buttonhole it is. So you can see I've got a variety of buttonholes to choose from. So let's just select keyhole round. And I can choose my stitch density, and I can choose my stitch length, and I'll leave those at the default. And if I come over here now, if I click apply, and I come over here now and I click, I will get that buttonhole. And every time I click, I'll get another buttonhole. So you can see how that works if I want to put in buttonholes into my design. And that covers our built-in shapes as well as our built-in embroidery designs and built-in backdrops.